You sure do. You sound
Okay.
like a man. He's a
I know.
man.
Just Huey, no more baby.
Yeah.
I know, I keep
Yeah,
fixing-
you grew out of that.
I know.
He's a grown man.
Daddy Huey.
Daddy, ooh.
Daddy Huey.
That
That's good.
that's okay. That's for Nick and I now. That's
Yeah, it
That's
is.
our
inside.
special
That's our special bond
Special
or
thing.
our inside term.
pet name.
I love it.
Exactly.
I'm just going to launch right into this because we need to keep that as a part of this interview. What's up, everybody? It's Chasta and Huey here for 107.7 The Bone, and we are elated to be on the line with a hero of ours, Nick Hexum, of course, 311 fame. And we'll get to 311 maybe a little while, but we are so excited about your solo work. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the support.
Yes, of course. We already feel very zen being in Studio Hex in Topanga there. It looks very, very chill. I need your zen right now because I've had way too much coffee today. So I'm going to try to it's like where your teeth are like zing. It's like that moment. So I need to take a deep breath.
I know the teeth feeling. Yeah, I'm just sitting here, Creekside, my studio. It's very peaceful. So I'll let it rub off on you and everybody else.
Perfect. We're excited. Nick, you're going to be up here in the Bay Area very soon. So Nick Hexum with Water Tower going to be at the Cornerstone in Berkeley, February 4th. And for tickets and more info, check out your website, nickhexum.com. Also, cornerstoneberkeley.com for extra details. Man, Nick, super excited to be talking to you. So I think, just for clarification, for people who may be hearing this for the first time and like realizing, oh, you're going to be in the Bay Area. This is not a 311 show you're doing. This is a solo show. This is your solo music that you've been doing as far as the EPs from last year. So can you kind of just explain what can fans expect of with your performance next week in Berkeley?
Yeah, so as an artist, I think it's just super important to just follow my creativity, my curiosity, wherever it leads. And I found myself becoming fascinated and obsessed with old timey instruments. Part of my, ancient history was my mom's side of the family was from Nashville, and I grew up hearing my great aunt play the auto harp, and whenever I hear, mandolin or banjo, it just harkens back to a different time that is part of my roots. And so I just started making songs that were in the Americana genre, getting into bluegrass styles, some kind of alt country. I would call it. I really love the sound of the pedal steel guitar and the creamy, otherworldly nature of it. And so it just kind of happened real organically that I started, once I made one song, then and another and another. And a big part of that development was me linking up with Kenny Feinstein, the leader of Water Tower, who's from Santa Cruz. And he started out with him giving me mandolin lessons. Then we started writing a bunch of songs together. And then he was like, well, to rehearse, we like to do busking on freeway off ramps. And I was like, that sounds terrifying. Let's do it. So it's just really opened up this whole new, fun, exciting realm for me. And so that's what we're going to be doing is playing those songs, and they do a killer set as opening band, and then they back me up. So it's a really fun night. I'm really looking forward to getting up there.
I have to tell you, Nick, I was so excited when I saw that this was the realm that you were going into because I have a 9-year-old banjo player, and he is a ripping banjo player. He listens to almost nothing but like Earl Scruggs and Doc Watson and among many others. And so my husband is a professional drummer and I play rock on the radio. And so if you would ask me, even being from Southern Oklahoma, if you'd ask me what instrument my child might pick up, banjo probably wouldn't have been on 10 instruments that I could have rattled off, but here we are. And we love it. And it's fascinating. And so we married, it's funny because we marry his interest with my interest. I love music from the 20s, 30s, 40s, like Billie Holiday is one of my favorite. When I saw you did Solitude, I almost fell out of my chair. I was so excited. I was like, wow, like our whole family's sort of non-rock interest came together in that moment. So you're a part of that. And that's really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Uh, Solitude, of course, written by Duke Ellington, is such
Yeah.
a beautiful song, and Billy is just uh, it's a huge influence, and just the feeling that she sings with, and the songs when we play them live are slightly reworked because there's no banjo in my recorded version of Solitude, but our banjo player Jesse is an absolute virtuoso, and he does this like most beautiful jazzy banjo playing, which sounds unlikely, but it really
It works.
works.
Yeah, whenever I dove into these EPs too, like I first of all, the vibe is, it's perfect, but you're all vibes. You invented vibes.
Thank you.
But the moon connection here, I
Yeah.
really wanted to understand because I'm a moon child. I'm a Cancer. I wear a moon necklace every day of my life. It's waxing gibbets, which is the moon that my son was born under. So
Mm.
I need to understand your moon connection.
Well, I have to give my wife a lot of credit for that because she is just very into the power of nature, and waxing, waning, and full. I realized like part of this project was looking um, back to nostalgia, and like in the song 1978, which I wrote about what life was like for me and my sister. I wrote with my sister, who's going to be up in the Bay Area at the shows. um, so going very nostalgic, and then some things talking about future, so waning time is the name of the third EP, and it just really fit to past, present, and future, to make the three EPs with that theme.
I love that. I just want to sit by a campfire and hang out with you and your wife. She seems like a really cool, my kind of girl.
Totally.
The thing, Nick, is like, I guess for Chas and I, we were talking before you jumped on with us. We really respect just making yourself vulnerable with these EPs and the lyrical content, what you're talking about, the subject matter. You just touched on it right there in 1978 about you and your sister growing up. On the latest EP, Waning Time, talk about, unfortunately, the passing of your brother. Um, can you just talk about just what it meant for you to kind of open up yourself and talk about subject matter that maybe people didn't know about you before? So music is so powerful for that, but what did it mean for you to open up and share a side of you that people didn't know?
Yeah, I mean, I've always in 311 known that singing, that it's important to leave the embarrassing bits in, and not just try and like put this like facade out. But
Okay.
I think I realized that there was a lot further that I could go with that. And one
Yeah.
book that really opened my eyes was Saved by a Song by Mary Gaucher, and she talks about exploring the dark caves to find the treasure, because when you're singing about things that you don't want to talk about, people really relate and feel that vulnerability, and it's healing for you, it's healing for the listener, um, and it's just a way of like processing. So I realized like there's, I would just kind of make notes to say, um, talking about my need for approval, like that's gonna, the song Work of Fiction, where I'm talking about different things that I might not want to admit, and talking about having, um, making a safe place for my daughter to open up to me about, with the dark thoughts that she was having, and things that I'm sure every parent can relate to, having those feelings of like wondering, like, please explain how. It's called please
I love
explain
it.
how you're really feeling. And so it was just important for me to go into some dark recesses.
It's so important because really what that boils down, I think, to Nick, is human connection, right? Because so many of us go through so many very, very similar experiences. Like, please explain brought me to tears immediately because I'm a mama, right? And you try to understand what's going on in their brains, and it's
Yeah.
like without pushing and just sort of in that comfort place of being here, just being here. And and you can talk to me when you want to talk to me. And it was so beautifully put in that song, and I just thought, like, that is the moment of human connection. After you write songs like that, where you do pour your heart out, is it therapy for you? Do you take a deep, big breath at the end, like, and feel better, or do you feel more vulnerable because you just put all that out there?
Yeah, no, I think I mostly just felt like, um, after you do something difficult, you feel like a sense of accomplishment. Like, okay,
Mhm.
I summoned courage, because courage is not like something you're born with. It's a decision you make to
Yeah.
go through, walk through a fear. So, I think it feels good. And then, just hearing the feedback of like what you just said, that you really related with it, that makes it even more satisfying.
Yeah, it just reminds
Uh,
me that there's no manual to parenting.
It's
exactly.
true. I bet it takes a village. So the more we
It does.
share what we're going through, the easier it gets.
It's true.
Nick, I'm curious though. So when it came to writing these songs and leading up to the EP releases, is this something you had lyrics like written and saved for years, or you're like, okay, I'm gonna start doing the solo stuff, this type of music. Okay, let me start writing stuff. Like, I'm just curious because like some of these subject matter, like, did you ever present it to like the 311 guys at some point over the years, or maybe you always just kept it close to yourself and you're like, I'm gonna save this for another opportunity down the road?
I would say it all pretty much happened last year, and late in 2024. And I really like finding a collaborator to discuss things with, to help me to get it out. There was some solo lyric writing, but other times it would be like me FaceTiming with my sister to help me write a couple of the songs.
Yeah.
Um, and then I guess like a song like "Lonely Existence," I think I wrote those lyrics totally by myself, because it was just very much about like the loneliness of what it's like when you're stuck in your secrets, when you're
Mhm.
addiction. Um, but I would say the majority of the songs I would just talk them out with a co-writer. Like "Please Explain" happened from me getting set up on a blind date with Ben Queller, who I'd loved his work, and a mutual friend said, "You guys should write a song together." So we just like chit chatted about parenting for a while, and and then that's when "Please Explain" came together, and him sharing some tough stuff that he's gone through on the
Mhm.
parenting front, and we just like totally clicked, and that song came out really effortlessly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's because it is that feeling that every parent has at some point or another. What I love about your work right now is that juxtaposition, right? Like, we're so used to 311 and grew up with it, and you guys were heroes. We've interviewed Peanut before, which was a highlight for sure. But it's so cool in the way that you see different sides of your personality, I guess is the way I would put it. You've got this like power pack energy in 311 that just like is on a whole nother level. But then this is very zen and thoughtful. And I don't want to use the word calculated because I don't feel like that's the right word, but just thoughtful, I guess. Um, how do you feel in your daily life where you register in energy? Are you more zen more of the time, and you hold that insane intense energy for the stage with 311, or how does that work?
Uh, well, I would say a lot of people that get to know me first just through normal life, like, you know, at
Being Harlow's
parenting,
dad?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
at school, and then if they come to a show, they're like, "We don't know that guy," that because they say I'm like
Who's that
really
guy?
chill
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
mellow, and then just unleashing energy. So I to me, I feel like you can naturally, people's energy wane, like when you're in your teens, you just have all this punk rock energy. But I've really found that I can get my body warmed up and get my excitement warmed up. Like each day I kind of reinstall my software by starting the day with with some exercise, with some like spiritual rituals, and it just gets me really psyched up for the day. I've been getting into cold plunges lately because like
Oh,
after
God bless
you
you.
do that
Oof.
extremely uncomfortable thing, everything else is easy. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I've found ways to really keep that battery charged. So then when I do get out on stage with a 311 show, I'm ready to just go buck wild.
Okay, okay, Nick. So you kind of just touched on it right there. I'm curious because like Chasta mentioned, we really respect just the positive message you and your bandmates have, and you're very spiritual and one with yourself. I do want to ask some advice though. You seem like the perfect person to ask about this. For anyone that's feeling stressed out there, Chasta and I, we got high demanding jobs. We get stressed out a lot of times. Any advice for getting over stress or reducing anxiety? Is there anything that you do that kind of helps you stay grounded and like overcome any of the daily challenges one experiences?
I think that you need to carve out some time for cultivating awe, which is the thing that I've been really into lately. And I made some, Instagram videos about it,
Okay.
where when you get out into nature and uh, the way to get present, 'cause everyone knows like it's good to be in the moment, to be here
Okay.
now,
Yeah.
because if you're in the future, they might be worries or fears, and if you're in the past, they might be like resentments or whatever. But here in the moment, everything's okay. But how do we
Okay.
get in the moment? And it's by using your senses. So getting outside and to feel the sun, to smell the air, to hear the birds, to touch things is it's like my senses are a portal into the present moment. And following curiosity. I love the podcast Hidden Brain because there's been some great episodes about cultivating awe and how that is it's a natural antidepressant that and people don't put it high enough on their to-do list to do that kind of self-care.
Hmm.
So and then the other thing is when I exercise, I do it in time to music because
Okay.
there was a study came out that showed that better than any chemical antidepressant, and even better than just regular working out, dancing
Mhm.
is the number one most effective thing that you can do for reducing depression, for improving your mind state. So to me, when I get on the elliptical and I'm going in time to
Okay.
music, that's just releasing something. And then even better than that is when you're doing it in time with other people. And that is why tribal dance and tribal experiencing music together, like the joy of a concert, is the it releases so much oxytocin and a feeling of wellness. So it kind of validated like the whole unity through concerts thing that that 311 has been working on forever,
Okay.
because it really just it serves to lift people's spirits and bring them together. So those are a couple of my bullet
That's why a
points.
mosh pit
Thank
feels
you.
so damn good.
Oh yeah.
I have so much to say right now, Nick. Okay, so first of all, I just watched Huey and I both taking notes. I think this is the first interview in like 15 years where we've been writing down like
Yes.
I'm like, okay, gotta
Okay.
write Hidden Brains. I'm gonna listen to
Yes.
that one. Like,
Yeah.
so good. Okay, but let's go back real quick. So couldn't agree more with the nature thing. So I work out every day, and a lot of times that's outdoors. And the other day, my husband and I were out on a hike, and there was a hawk above us, and we got lost, absolutely lost in watching this hawk. And it was diving. It was almost like it was playing with us in a way. And I don't
Yeah.
even know how much time went by, but it was one of the most pure moments I've had in a long time. And I've been talking about whimsy a lot. And I saw you start talking on social media about awe, which kind of feels like it's in the same realm to me. And
Absolutely.
I so relate to what you're saying. It's incredible what you get out of those moments. That
Yeah,
are so simple.
totally. And so awe is like one of these secondary emotions that's a combination of surprise, and love and spirituality, and it hits best when it's unexpected. Like the other
Right.
day, I actually should post this video. The other day, I was driving out of off of our property here, and we've had this pair of ducks, wild ducks, that have come to live here in the creek every spring. And last year they had 3 or 4 little ducklings that were following them around in the water, and it was like the most adorable thing. We also have, ducks that we keep in our own pond in an enclosure, but these were wild ducks. And the ducks came back, and I was just so happy. I don't know what happened to the babies, but there was two, and then all of a sudden I saw a third duck. There's a male and a female, but another male, and like this like surprise and joy that I felt to see that this couple was now a thruple, which I which I looked up. It does happen sometimes that when
Oh,
there's a
wow.
surplus of males, they'll have like a little helper male that just like hangs out with the main couple. So just
That's
I
amazing.
feel the tingle of the joy to say, oh, they're back and they brought a friend.
See, that's the whimsy, that's the awe I'm talking about. I freaking love that. I saw you also picking mushrooms the other day. I wanted to pick your brain on that because I've never been brave enough to do that. Did you have mushroom knowledge before you went on this mushroomscape, or are you just braving it? Like, what are you doing?
That was my first time, and my
Okay.
neighbor was like, "There's some bunch of chanterelles over there by your trampoline," because he had come over to help me with some stuff. He's like, "Just look over there." I was like, "Really?" And there's just moved the leaves back, and there was just all these orange caps. He's like, "Those are chanterelles. They're really delicious and really expensive. You would have to pay a lot to get these mushrooms." So he I was like, "Are you sure?" He was like, "Oh yeah, I eat them all the time." And this is my first time doing it. And so I did, use ChatGPT to confirm that they were what I thought they were and how
Yeah,
you can tell
good
the
idea.
difference between
It'll
them
be a
and some
very
other.
different night.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a fun process to clean them up and fry them up, and
So
it
cool.
was delicious. But then just also the curiosity side of doing something new was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
That's
fascinating. I'm amazed.
well, actually, Nick, I do want to touch on speaking of your Instagram. Recently, you posted a video of you in your studio doing some like growling vocals,
Oh, yeah.
which I was shocked to see because
So fun.
you're Mr. Calm and chill guy, but like growling vocals, everyone's like, hell yeah, dude, that's awesome. Is that something you ever consider? Maybe going like more a hard rock metal route as a
Hexum
vocalist?
rage.
Um, there is a couple little tiny places that I've done it in 311. And the
Yeah,
song Too Late,
yeah.
I did it a little bit. But uh I'm not the biggest metal guy, but it is one of the tools in my tool belt. And it was
Okay.
really just came from trying to make my daughter laugh and how delighted she was by it. And then so it was really fun. So I don't know. I think maybe next I need to try a bluegrass version of it or
I was
something.
just gonna say, why don't you marry mandolin, banjo, and metal screams? We have a good friend Matt from Trivium who does that. I mean,
Yes.
that's like such a skill, and
Yeah.
you have to do it right, or you could really damage yourself. So it is a skill, even though it's pretty wild. It was wild to see it come out of you, that's for sure. We
That's
were just
great.
as entertained as she was, I think.
So, I mean, Nick, while excited to see you come up here to play Berkeley at the Cornerstone next week on February 4th, we do want to touch on a little about, 311 and stuff. Just obviously, Chasta and I, we've been at this radio station for so long now, and we really are privileged and grateful that we get to talk to artists that we grew up loving, obviously in the 90s, early 2000s, bands, artists that we were the soundtrack to our youth. And so kind of go down memory lane a little bit. Your third album, the self-titled The Blue Album, just celebrates 30th anniversary. Just looking back on hindsight now, what did that album mean to you, and just for the band and the legacy of that album?
Yeah. So the recording that in 94 and then supporting it for 2 years in 95 and 96 was such a um unbelievable time where all of our dreams were coming true, and just seeing how much bigger the shows were getting
Yeah,
and how much more swagger we were having, just from the confidence of of growing so quickly. And then MTV was pretty important at that time,
Yeah.
and getting a buzz clip, which just meant this is the song that everybody's talking about. So when Down became a buzz clip, man, it was just like everything changed. The audiences got a lot younger. So
Mhm.
you had our fans that had been with us in like the previous couple years that were like,
Hmm.
now there's all these kids coming to your shows. And I was like, good.
Yeah.
We're
Yes.
not elitist. There's not going to be like an age limit. I love having kids there because, you know, if you connect with them, they'll stay with you forever. Like the
Mhm.
Hmm.
Clash will always have such a special place in my mind as the band that blew my mind when I was like 14.
Mhm.
So but definitely it was happy to have a younger audience, and then getting to do like, being on Conan O'Brien and David Letterman and getting invited to all these like special parties and stuff like that. It was a pretty exciting time.
That's how you can be so zen now because you got it out of your system early
Oh
on.
yeah, I've sowed enough wild oats for anybody.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, Huey, he is spot on. You really have shaped so much of who we are. I mean, I had the lyrics to Amber framed and on a table at my wedding, if that tells you anything.
Wow,
Yeah. So
that's
you
really
definitely
cool. I
mean a
love
lot
hearing
to.
stuff like that.
Yeah, my husband saw you at, shows in San Francisco in the '90s because he was from here. I grew up in Southern Oklahoma, but it is pretty cool to be able to talk to you now because whenever I was in Southern Oklahoma and dreaming of moving to California, I would always look for artists or anybody, actors, actresses that left Middle Earth, as I called it, and moved to California and then did something and like it stuck, right? So I remember the first time I was reading in a magazine and I saw that 311 was from Omaha and I was like, "What?" Like I could not believe it. Just sonically, number 1, but it was another check mark that I could go, "See? They left and they made it. It's possible for me." And so I moved from Southern Oklahoma to Hollywood. And I wouldn't say I made it quite 311 style, but you know what? I'm doing the damn thing. So
Yeah.
thank you for being part of that inspiration. It's a big jump from Middle Earth.
I love that. The guy from Maroon 5 tells me that he came from Lincoln, Nebraska, and he was like, and I just kept saying, if 311 can do it, I can do it too. Um,
Yeah,
I think it put a bit of a chip on our shoulder because there was a lot of people like Nebraska.
right.
I'm like, just you wait.
Yeah. Yeah. But what was
Well,
trippy is you went to LA and you worked at the
twice.
Guitar
Yeah.
Center down the street from where I lived in Hollywood, which is so wild to me. Which what a cool place that is. But then you went back, right? Like, isn't that part of the story? Like you
Yeah.
went back and then like everything started really popping?
Yeah, so I had linked up with some guys on the Sunset Strip, but it was just very much like hair metal at the time.
Yeah.
This was
Of course.
88, 89, and it was everybody wanted to be like Guns N' Roses or Motley
Yeah.
Crue or whatever, and that wasn't really my vibe. I was into Jane's Addiction and Chili Peppers and Fishbone, and I and then it just dawned on me that the best people that I could make a band with were my buddies from high school, which was
Yeah.
Tim and Chad.
Yeah.
So I went back and started Unity, and I was
Yep.
playing bass at that time. And then I really wanted to just focus on being the lead singer. And then they found Peanut, who is like a
Mhm.
14-year-old bass virtuoso. And
Yeah.
then we all decided, linked up with SA as well. And then we all decided to go for it and moved to LA in '92, and been out here ever since. We actually all lived within Laurel Canyon, within like a mile of each other, and now
Yeah.
everybody's just like spread out. And
Spread
but
out, yeah.
we still get together quite a bit.
Dude, I
Well,
lived at Hollywood and Highland. That was a wild time.
Oh yeah,
Like literally the center of the beast.
you could
now,
walk to the Frolic Room.
Yes,
yeah.
I could. Yep.
So, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of like initially when you guys got together, that first show was it opening for Fugazi. Um, what was that experience like? Fugazi, obviously legendary, punk band, their connection, their roots with Minor Threat. But what do you remember about that first show opening for Fugazi?
I remember they were super nice and so DIY that they just like called the local punk rocker in Omaha and said, "We need bands to open our show in Omaha, and somehow Peanut got wind of it and volunteered for it, and it was like such a perfect launching pad for us because everybody was there just ready to mosh. So our very first show, we
Yeah.
had a sea of people jumping, which usually does not happen that way.
Yeah.
The other thing I remember is that we used to like to drink 40 ounces and I didn't realize till after that that was pretty much a faux pas to be like, chugging 40
Sipping
ounces
a 40.
backstage because they're straight edge, and like, it
Right.
wasn't the nice, most considerate, but they didn't say anything, so much
Okay.
Oh,
credit
that's
to them.
cool.
Very
As you
cool.
get older, you look back and realize those things, you're like, "Oh, crap."
Yeah.
What are you
Embarrassing.
gonna do?
Well, Nick, also just kind of being nostalgic right now. Chaz and I love just talking about, the 90s and whatnot. So for you as, part 311, what do you miss most about being in a band in the 90s? What about that time period do you miss most versus, being in a band now, present time? But what do you miss most about that era of
We
just,
can wax romantic about the
yeah,
90s. I
the
love
music
it.
industry, being a band, like just in general, what do you miss about the 90s?
Well, I would say there was more nudity in the 90s. There was, of course, no cell phones, so people
Yeah.
were just totally into the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe less inhibitions without the cell phones.
Okay.
Guys and girls with their shirts off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, sweating together, and um, it was just a wilder time. But there's concerts will always have that special magic. And I think that at a 311 show, there's um, less phone use than your average show. I mean, if you
Okay.
I
Yep.
go to like Taylor Swift with my kids, and every person has their phone out, but I mean, they're still enjoying themselves. So it's
Yeah.
like, you're going to want to watch that later? And my daughter's like, yes, I'm going to watch every second of this so I can really, okay, you
Okay.
do you.
If that's what makes her happy. I think, yeah, what the word that comes to mind when you talk about that in the 90s was pure. Like those moments when I think back on them in my brain, they just feel very pure. We were really in that moment and having that experience to its
Yeah.
fullest with no distraction, and that's what I really like to help my kid understand. It's hard though, like as a parent, you understand, your kids have access to all of these things. He doesn't have a phone yet, but he does have an iPad. And so it's good and bad because he can find Doc Watson, by typing it in for, and it's at his fingertips. He doesn't have to go to a record store, but it's also bad when you realize like now he's been on YouTube for half an hour and he's zoned out. So it's like, it's tough, but that's what I miss personally about the 90s is that pure energy of just being in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a tough thing because like we do want our kids to be exposed to information and culture and stuff. Like there's an upside to it, but then
Yeah.
also the fact that they don't have to deal with boredom leads to creativity. And that's why in the song 1978 I'm talking about like building forts and organizing big kickball games and all the things that we did because we didn't have video games and stuff. um Video games came in later, but they weren't fun enough to keep us like zoned out to the TV all day. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but so I do think it is important to try and delay the screen time as much as possible, because it's such a conformity machine that
Mm,
where any if you act at all different, everyone's gonna like pile on you and make fun of you, which you're not really ready to deal with when you're in puberty, and
yeah.
it can be pretty damaging. There's a lot more conformity now than like when I remember in high school that I was like the punk rocker kid, and there was just a lot of diversity.
Yeah.
And now when I see like my daughter's friends, it's like, you guys are all wearing the exact same thing. It's the Uggs and the sweats and the gray sweatshirt. Like,
So
again,
true.
like
Yep.
That's
They're little carbon copies. I'm so glad to hear you say that, Nick. I'm going to play that back for my kid where you talked about, boredom is creativity. I literally now I see the irony in the statement I'm about to say. Okay. So just let's make that clear.
yeah,
Literally last night, I just used ChatGPT because we are trying to reduce his screen time. Again, irony, I know. We're trying to reduce his screen time, but I made a list of all the crap he can do that not on a screen, and I asked it to make a poster for me. And it came up on its own with Cody's Boredom Busters. And it's a poster I'm going to hang in his wall, and it reminds him all the fun things he can do that aren't on a screen. So
love
it's
it.
just you got to be creative. But
So
yeah.
there's a book that blew my mind. Jonathan Haidt, the author, his book, The Happiness Hypothesis. I highly
I'm taking
recommend
notes again.
Yes,
Happiness
please read
hypothesis.
The
Jonathan,
Happiness
what?
Hypothesis. Haidt, Haidt.
Okay.
He's a psychologist and a historian. Like it just brings everything together. And happiness hypothesis is really about our path to happiness and how we can get there. But his latest book was called The Anxious Generation, and it's about how damaging phones can be to kids that are in puberty. But then he accompanied it with like a graphic novel called The Awesome Generation, which is for kids, exactly that kind of poster that
Oh,
you
wow.
said, like, here's how you can have a more rewarding non-screen childhood. And so
That's
I
great.
just
That's
it just
great.
arrived in the mail for me to share with my kids.
Well, I'm on it. So thank you very much for that tip. That's huge.
That's great. Oh man. Well, listen, Nick, I know we've taken up a lot of your time. I do want to ask one last thing for my part for Chasta, ask her almost famous question, but have you like set in your mind now that for the rest of your life that you're always going to be working around near March 11th for 311 Day? I mean, like, I feel like you
Like your
guys,
Christmas.
yeah, you guys have made this like an annual thing now. I do want to touch on that. 311 Day is going to be in Vegas this year. It's going to be March 7th and 8th, Dolby Live, which is right next to Park MGM in Las Vegas. But like, do you have that set in your brain? Like, okay, from here on out, we're always going to be working around March 11th. But this looks amazing, this whole experience
It
with the
does.
museum. You guys are going to be collabing with the Blue Man Group. Just kind of like, yeah, what can fans expect from 311 Day?
Yeah, dusting off some really deep cuts, some stuff people have never heard before. It's kind of like our convention because people come
Yep.
from all over the world. But it's semi-annual, meaning it's only on
I,
even numbered years. So odd
Mhm.
number
okay.
years, we do our cruise, which might not land on. It has sometimes landed on March 11th, but
Mhm.
um, so yeah, and this is a 311 day year, so we're getting ready to start rehearsals, and we just want to make it full of surprises, which can lead to a feeling of awe.
Well done. You know what you're
Brought it
doing,
back.
sir. I love it. Brought it back. All right. Well, after this incredibly impactful conversation, I'm so excited to ask you the question that we always ask at the end of our interviews, which is inspired by my favorite film of all time, which is Almost Famous. And the question is, Nick, what do you love about music?
Connection, um, music. Let's see. What there was a Beastie Boys lyric. If you can if you can feel what I'm feeling, it's a musical masterpiece. If you can hear what I'm feeling, well, that's cool at least. Like the way that music has the ability to express, if you just say the word sad, okay, someone's sad. But if you play music that
Yeah.
expresses that, then people can, it's more expressive than just words alone. Um, so that connection and then enjoying it with people, like in the concert setting, and knowing that I'm facilitating or that our band is facilitating um, this enjoyment and connection is truly an honor.
It really is. That's so great. Well, we
Man.
are so excited to see you at Cornerstone. This is going to be an awesome show,
Yeah. So
especially after this conversation. I'm going to be in awe.
so man, just to recap everything. So Nick Hexum with Water Tower will be at the Cornerstone Berkeley February 4th. NickHexum.com for tickets, more info. Also cornerstoneberkeley.com. Check out your latest EP, Waning Time, that's out now. And just for the sake of just mentioning it, 311 will be at Channel 24 in Sacramento March 1st. 311.com for info about that as well. But Nick, listen, thank you so much. I mean, I think Chas and I need to go to Berkeley next week so we can hug you and
Oh
just
yeah, I know. I
thank you
know.
for this
Please do.
Seriously.
Make
conversation
sure you come say hi.
and rock
Love
out
that.
with you. And once again, like we mentioned earlier, just thank you for being part of the soundtrack to our youth and just having such an impact on us, making us music fans and wanting again to this crazy radio industry that we're in now.
Yeah.
So thank you for everything.
Yeah.
Thank you. This was super fun. This was
Uh,
awesome.
I'm walking away with let's see, book and podcast recommendations and parenting advice. What more do I need?
Happy to be of service.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Nick.
All right. Take care, you guys.
Awesome.